Resident Evil Village is creeping ever closer to its release date on May 7th. To get you equally spooked and excited, we're going to be showing you 5 new features that are absolutely amazing. Book your tickets because it's time for a vacation in Horror Town. The explosive Mercenaries game mode makes a triumphant return in Resident Evil Village. Mercenaries has been a staple of the series since RE3 and is definitely a fan favourite. Village's Mercenaries is an arcade-style shooter in which you have to fight hordes of enemies within a time limit, taking the suspense-filled combat of the main game and injecting it with adrenaline. The player has to collect time by finding bonuses located around the map or by constantly killing enemies. Once you've killed enough enemies, rush to the goal area and escape. In Village, your performance seems to be scored on where you shoot the enemies on the body, as well as receiving other bonuses such as combo modifiers for killing enemies in quick succession and killing every enemy in a given stage. This is the first time Mercenaries is in first person, but there are also some other exciting changes such as the shop. Previously you'd play as a character with set weapons and abilities, but now, between areas, players can purchase new weapons or upgrades to adapt to their own playstyle. You can choose to specialise in a fast gun and run SMG build or go full 360 no-scope montage mode and trick shot your enemies. Map pickup abilities are a new addition to the game mode this time round. Abilities will give the player a combat boost which will last the rest of the stage. For example, the Out of Reach ability gives an increase in damage at long distance, or the Healthy version which decreases incoming damage to the player. If this is anything like the previous game modes, this will probably be post-game content and reward players with some ludicrously large weapons for the main game. Ethan Winters is apparently the first protagonist with any culinary expertise, as the player can now hunt and cook in the main game. The village is filled with many different animals such as pigs, goats and chickens, and you can now hunt them for their meat, and when cooked opens up upgrades for Ethan himself. Sorry Ethan, no vegan options for you. With the necessary ingredients, the player can purchase traditional Romanian dishes from the Duke's kitchen and receive permanent upgrades to their health, stamina and power. This shows villagers' pronounced focus on RPG elements to add depth to their experience. Reduced damage from guarding is one of the upgrades, but perhaps we can even expect increased movement speed or less damage from a particular enemy as well. The player has been able to hunt in previous titles, but this is the first time we can expect an actually nutritious meal with some very useful effects. Perhaps there'll even be a meal we can share with Lady Dimitrescu. Yummy. Let's talk about the shop a bit more. When he's not helping you prepare a 3-course meal, he's selling you a sniper rifle. With the same spirit as the merchant, the Duke won't just sell you a shiny new weapon, but can also upgrade your current ones. Using the game's currency lei, which is obtained from dead enemies and destructible objects, the player can purchase upgrades in 2 distinct types. The first type increases the general characteristics of a weapon, such as your fire rate, your power, and your reload speed. The second, on the other hand, is specific to each gun. A cheek rest for the sniper rifle will lower your weapon's sway, but the pistol's recoil compensator will keep you aiming right at the enemy's face. Much like in RE4 and 5, treasure can also be found and exchanged to get large amounts of currency. We've already seen a crystal skull which is hidden away in a bloody basement, but if this is anything like Resident Evil 4, treasure may be twinkling just above you or behind you. The upgrade system shows, much like the previous titles, that enemies are going to be a lot more menacing as you progress, so you might as well get a fancy new trigger for your shotgun. Village delves into the supernatural side of Resident Evil with wanton abandon. This is reflected in the large variety of different enemies. There's seemingly 2 categories for main threats, vampires and werewolves, or lycans as they're described in-game. The vampires seem to emulate the Grand Castle aesthetics with fancy robes and airs of decaying opulence, which is in stark contrast to the lycans that possess a more feral, brutish and downtrodden look. The vampires seem to move sluggishly like zombies, brandishing hooks and swords. Yes, they may move slowly, but the vamps will deal massive damage when they attack, and they could even become more dangerous at night. The lycans, on the other hand, seem to be more lively, rushing at Ethan with brute force and rustic weapons to fight him with. Some of the lycans are shown holding barbaric clubs and others axes. This draws strong comparisons to the folksy villagers of RE4. There seems to be a stronger variant of base enemies as well, showcased by this lycan who seemingly has armor, or this especially feisty one seen in the trailer. In the trailer there are 4 families frequently teased, with Dimitrescu seemingly leading the vampires and Heisenberg heading the lycans. So it's likely we're going to see 2 other types of enemies, and given this brief hint of a lakeside cave, we may even see some amphibious monsters. Ethan, take a hint from Leon, stay away from the lake. The bosses of Resident Evil love being theatrical. The iconic Lady Dimitrescu has already broke the internet, and perhaps the universe, but her brother Heisenberg shows that he's also going to be a substantial threat. Resident Evil has recently upgraded their Nemesis-like villains who stalk the player repeatedly throughout the game, and Heisenberg, showcased by this gigantic creature, may be no different. If he's anything like Mr. X or Jack from RE7, we might be fighting him a few times and in different forms. At this point, we'd be disappointed if it were otherwise. We also briefly see the other heads of the family. On the left of the frame, we see a creature holding a ventriloquist dummy. Perhaps they'll send a legion of dolls your way. It might sound ridiculous or ridiculously terrifying, but it has been done in a previously abandoned Resident Evil 4 build. On the right hand side of the frame, we see this strange, hard to make out frog creature. This may be the sea creature boss teased in the trailer. And last but certainly not least, in the middle we see a masked creature with wings on their back. This ominous figure seems to be Mother Miranda. Our guess is that she's going to be the final boss of the game and may perhaps incorporate vampire and lichen forms in her boss fight. Like a greatest hits, but one that haunts you for every waking moment. To face all this, Ethan is going to need some new weapons and a freshly cooked meal or two, because this is going to be a horrible holiday for poor Mr. Winters. If you can't wait to play this, then the 30-minute demos start on the 17th of April with the village demo, the castle demo arriving later on the 24th, as well as a larger 60-minute demo coming on May the 1st. So guys, the showcase has given us so many questions. Who is Rose? What does this have to do with Umbrella? And how does everyone know Ethan's name? Is he wearing a name tag or... The plot thickens. Let me know what you think down below, and if you're interested in more gaming news, consider giving the channel a subscribe, and if you liked the video, give it a little like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.